Alright guys, welcome back. Your TCG&Whiskey's channel here. You got Mark and Tom. We're going to be going over UFC Vegas 40. First, we're going to say thank you to our sponsor. We got Tampa Bless Home Team Do Good. TampaBless.com for more information on that. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, we're going over Aspen Ladd. She's ranked number 3. She's a minus 130 favorite. She's 9-1, and she is only 26 years old, super young in the game. She's going to get up against Norma Dumont, plus 110, 6-1. She's 31, and she last beat Felicia Spencer, and her only loss is to Megan Anderson. And I just want to mention, this is a featherweight fight. Both girls will be weighing in 145, and Aspen Ladd's solo loss is to Germaine Durandamine. Tom, we got kind of a unique situation here with these girls. We know Aspen was supposed to fight. She missed weight a couple weeks ago, and now she's fighting up. What do you see happen?
Yeah, man. Well, you got Aspen Ladd, the American, covering her again because she missed weight last week and, pulled an unprofessional move, and the fight got canceled because Macy decided she didn't want to be part of it. And I don't blame her, and I actually support fighters that do that from here on out because these other fighters need to learn that there's a line. And if every fighter, I almost think that there should be some type of money, more money, just not show money, more money given to the person that declines the fight.
Randy Brown spoke out about that. Actually,
and if he's supporting what I said, then I agree with him.
He did. He made weight, and that other dude, the Night Train, we went over.
Yes,
he missed by like 2 or 3 pounds, and Randy was saying it should be, instead of like 15 to 20%, he says it should be 50%. Really penalize these guys because it's their job and it's unfair advantage.
And I'm in support of. I don't want to go off too long on this, but I'm in support of actually not necessarily going the 50% route, going a big piece. Maybe there's show money or something being taken from them so they actually get no money, and the other person cancels the fight. So not only did you wreck it for the fans, yourself, but the other person got double the amount that they would have gotten just for the show money, at least double the show money. That'll encourage them to go ahead and cancel it and just say, look, this isn't fair, it's unprofessional, and a lot of people could argue that it's unsafe because you're coming in too heavy, and I haven't subjected myself to as big a weight cut as you, even though we know that Aspen did subject herself to that, and she was just very foolish in the amount of trying to cut so late and not preparing because she was already off for like a year and a half.
Right.
It's creeping on 2 years now. The last time she fought was December 2019. It's only 2 months away from being 2 years out of the ring. So, anyways, we had mentioned all this before, but I hope the UFC really does transition. I hope fighters have the guts, because it's terrible to train all that time and then just be like, they're fighters. They're going to be like, look, I already trained. He's 5 pounds over. Let's just do it. And in that case, I agree with Randy about the 50%, but I think they should incentivize fighters to actually be able to turn down the fight more often. Because then I think fans get involved, and it's even more pressure not to be unprofessional, because there's just, now the fans are going to start to dislike you. Even though people tried to flip it and say, oh, Macy should have taken that. That's not cool, man. I don't agree with that at all.
All right, so what do you got for Dumont?
But anyways, here we go. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked on that, but I do think it's important because it's happening a lot. And now, what did she get as a penalty? Oh, you get to have the main on next week's fight. Where's Macy?
We'll have to roll this one back. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. All right, it's ridiculous, man. All right, Aspen, I think everything I said was legit. Anyways, Aspen Ladd, the American, 26 years old, 5'5" in height, 9-1-0, UFC 4-1. The other side, Norma Dumont, Brazilian, 31, 5'6" in height. She's got a 1-inch reach advantage. She's 6-1-0 overall. UFC, she's 2-1. Now, Aspen, we know what happened. I just went on a little bit of a rant, but I feel like it was all legit. No lies spoken, as they say. But before that, she had the TKO punches win against Yana Kunitskaya. All right. And that was in December 2019, like I just mentioned before. So almost creeping on 2 years out of the ring. And as we mentioned last week, what has she done with that time? Obviously not lost weight. But did she train properly? Did she level up actually in her skill set? That's yet to be seen. We'll find out. Norma on the other side. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to touch on Aspen's skill set in case you missed last week's episode. Purple belt in BJJ, and she's got a kickboxing background as well, Aspen. Norma, brown belt in BJJ, black belt in Sanda. Sanda's the official, I had to look that up, the official Chinese full contact combat sport called Sanda. Anyway, she's coming off a split decision win over Felicia Spencer in May 2021. I watched that. I think the split aspect of that was a little bit shady. I did think Norma had that one probably unanimous, even though I was picking Felicia on that fight. I thought Norma actually did win that unanimous when I did watch it. My pick, it's tough. The big question is, what has Aspen done during this almost 2-year break? Has she leveled up? Has she remained the same, which isn't bad because she was very good? Or has she actually regressed? Has she gone backwards? She kind of gotten worse during this time. You know what? Neither one of these fighters has ever seen a round 4 in their life, in their fighting career. This is going to be a 5-rounder. I'm going to go that if Norma can withstand being TKO'd by Aspen, I think Aspen may tire if she didn't train properly, and Norma subs her in the 4th round.
Norma's
That's what I'm going to go
sub
with.
in the 4th round.
Yeah, really based on fatigue.
Yeah, I think both girls will be fatigued if we hit 4 rounds. Yeah, this is an interesting fight, but I think we see the upset also. I think Norma is a true featherweight and fights super aggressive. And Aspen, we don't know. Maybe she is a featherweight. She can never seem to make bantamweight. So we really don't know how much is Aspen going to weigh in at. Because obviously she can't make 135. So is she a true 145, and maybe she stays up here? Now, Aspen's strength, though, is definitely on the ground. And this is where I see the problem. I don't think she has the stand-up to deal with Norma. If you watch Norma, she's got some hands and some kicks, and she's aggressive, and she's a big girl. And I don't think Aspen has enough wrestling pedigree to take Norma to the ground at this size difference. Maybe at 135, but at 145, Norma is going to weigh in over 150 guaranteed. And we don't know where Aspen's going to, if she's going to have a strength advantage. I doubt it. I think these girls get real sloppy. I think they both gas out, as you said. They don't go 5 rounds, and I think we actually see just a super sloppy mess, and we get Norma by unanimous decision after 5 rounds. That is my my
It
pick.
could happen. It could happen.
Now I'm just gonna go. We don't have a lot of superstars or high-end prospects on this card. It's a little bit lackluster, we'll say. So I'm not going to discuss the card markets on every fight, just because there's no reason to at the moment. A lot of them aren't printed. Whether we'll even see them this year or next year, we don't know. So, but now I'll go over Aspen. If she can't get this win and get her weight under control, I'm just not sure how I feel about her. If she can get her weight under control, she gets this win, you got to give her a bye. But those are big ifs. She's only 26 and she can't make weight. And I'm sure it doesn't get easier to make weight as you get older. If you're not watching your nutrition, I think she needs to fight often, make some money, and hire a high-end nutritionist and stick to the diet plan so she makes 135 easy. Listen, it's easy to say that. It's not me. I'm a big guy. But I honestly think she should move to Vegas and use the Performance Institute to her full advantage. It's free to fight her. She's ranked number 3. She can have all her meals made, all her training done, nutritionist, everything there for free as one of her big perks. That would be my advice to her. Like I said, it's not me. It's easy for me to say that, but some of these guys are using it, and you could tell they're taking full advantage of it, and it's working for them. And she's not.
No, it's good idea.
She's not, and you could tell it's not. I mean, she's missing out on fights. And even when she does get in there, I mean, look what Jermaine did to her. And I'm not saying Jermaine can't do that to anyone, but it could have been just a horrible weight cut. Even this time, she's shaking. She needs the curtain. She doesn't make weight. Macy turns down to fight. Now, Norma, well, the problem I have with Norma's card market is that there's really not a true featherweight division right now. And unless Dana starts recruiting for it, which I think he should, I think we know there's a lot of girls out. PFL and Bellator have really good featherweight women. And we know he can bring them in. I'm not saying he's going to ever get Cyborg back or anything like that, but we know she's a legit fighter, even though Nunes beat her up. So you just can't put...
Cyborg's bad. Bad woman.
Right. She's bad. So we know there's other girls out there in the featherweight division. If he wants to recruit, maybe put him on the Tough Show or Contender Series, line him up, whatever he wants to do to get that division back and going. But it doesn't seem that's the case at the moment. So you just can't put a buy on any girls in the featherweight division right now, as far as I see it. Besides Amanda, but I consider Amanda really bantamweight. All right.
No, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
Well, she fights both. She's dominant. All right, we're going to go right along. We got a heavyweight bout. We got Andrei Arlovski plus 100. He's 31-20 with 2 no contests. He's 42 years old, and he's coming off a win against Chase Sherman. He's going up against Carlos Felipe, minus 120 favorite right now, who's 11-1. He's only 26 years old, and he's on a 3-fight winning streak. And his only loss is to my boy Sergey Spivak. Tom, does the gatekeeper keep the gate closed, or does he open it up? What do we got?
Man, former UFC heavyweight champ Andrei Arlovski, the Belarusian, 42 years old, the Pitbull. 6'2" in height, 2-inch reach advantage over the Brazilian Carlos Felipe, 26 years old, who's 6'1" in height. Arlovski, 31-20-0 with 2 no contests. So Arlovski is going to be going into his 54th fight, which is just crazy. Now in the UFC, if you look up Arlovski's record, make sure you go back far enough because he's got a big gap in between long stretches. He had a long stretch of the UFC, then a long gap outside with different promotions, and then he's back again in a long gap on a long stretch. So make sure you do that. And the UFC, he still has a ton of fights. He's 20-14 with 1 no contest. So this will be his 36th UFC fight. It's definitely up there, just like Jim Miller and some of these other guys like Cowboy that have had a ton of UFC experience. He's coming off a decision win over Chase Sherman, April 2021. He's an international master of sport in Sambo. Carlos Felipe on the other side, coming off a split decision win over Jake Collier in June 2021. My pick, if Arlovski can avoid getting slept, I'm picking the vet, the legend, by decision. I'm picking Arlovski by decision. The key is that he doesn't get slept, you know. I mean, I fear just the level of possibly being punch drunk over the years, but he's avoided not to get slept in the last few fights. He did get subbed, but he didn't get slept real recent. But there for a bit there, I was worried like Arlovski's starting to get a little punch drunk. But hey, you know what? He's still a dangerous guy. I'm going to pick him on a decision here. I just think the key is not getting caught by Felipe.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Normally, I say you can just take the youth. There's a 16-year difference. He's 16 years younger,
That's
Felipe.
crazy.
But here's the thing. Both men are not really one-shot power guys. They're not one and done. These aren't Francis and Ngannou's here. And I really like Andrei Arlovski as a great gatekeeper to the top 15. He seems to beat up on these young guys, and he does his job. When he's supposed to win, he goes out and wins. When he's supposed to lose, he loses. That's it. So I think unless Carlos Felipe is ready to make it to the next level, which I don't think he is yet, I think Arlovski's high-volume boxing is going to be a problem for him. I think he's got enough experience to weather the storm, since I don't believe Felipe is going to drop huge bombs on him. Like you said, that's his problem. He does not have an insane chin anymore on Arlovski. But I'm not too scared of that with Felipe. I'm not super confident in my pick here, but I don't see Felipe getting it done here. I think he's going to be surprised by the volume that Arlovski still brings at 42 years old, and I think he creeps out the decision, as you mentioned. Now, this is one of the cards I will run through because Andrei's had an incredible career, but personally he stayed way over the hill and most likely is going to be remembered as staying over the hill. So I just can't put a buy on him. I got to put a sell on him. And Carlos has proven to me, has to prove to me that he belongs in the top 15 before we can put any kind of rating on him at all. So I love Arlovski. He's a great PC kind of guy. But honestly, who's going to remember him as good as he was? Not too many will, because he just stuck around way too long. Like we said, he's 42. Insane record. Just millions of fights. I don't know. All right, let's creep it right along here. We got a lightweight bout. Jim Miller, another veteran of the sport here. 32-16.
Oh, yeah.
One no contest. He's 38 years old. Surprising -225 favorite for Jim Miller on a 2-fight losing streak. He's going up against Eric Gonzalez, who's 14-5, 29 years old, plus 185 dog, and he's on a 2-fight winning streak. Tom, we got veteran versus newcomer. What's going on here?
Oh yeah. Jim Miller, the American 38, 5'7" in height. The American Eric Gonzalez on the other side, 29 years old, 5'9" in height, but Gonzalez holds a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Jim Miller, 32-16-0 with one no contest. UFC, 21-15-0 with one no contest. So in the UFC, this is going to be his 38th fight. Just, a couple fights ahead of Andrei Arlovski there in UFC experience. Jim Miller, black belt in BJJ and D1 wrestling background. He's coming off 2 decision losses in a row, with the latest against Joe Selecki in April 2021. My personal opinion for Jim is win or retire. I don't know what he'll end up doing, but I do feel like this is a win or retire bout for Jim. On the other side, American Eric Gonzalez, 14-5. Overall, UFC, this is his debut. I love the name, by the way, Eric Gonzalez's nickname. It's the Ghost Pepper.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I personally like, as long as you don't have too much of it and you kind of dilute it in the meal a little bit. My pick, I'm going to go, with either a round 1 sub rear naked choke or guillotine win by Jim Miller or a decision win by Jim Miller. One or the other.
Okay, yeah.
So I think Jim will win and maybe continue fighting, as opposed to the win or retire. Or he could go out in a win. I don't really know, but I think if he wins, he'll probably continue. But I kind of got him as a win or retire at this point.
Yeah. No, I see the round 1 sub by Jim Miller. I see it making his pro debut here, Eric Gonzalez. He's going up against the gatekeeper. And as you said, Miller's got crazy submissions, crazy ground game, got good wrestling. And with Jim Miller, we're still getting a great round 1. He brings it in that first round. He doesn't go hard all 3 rounds. He gasses a little bit, but he brings it round 1. Sometimes you get lucky and he brings it round 2. Round 3 is not a good round for Jim Miller. That's for sure. We've been seeing that in his last 3, 4, 5 fights. But I see Jim getting this to the ground, using all his effort in round 1, and finishing the kid with his jiu-jitsu. He's just leaps and bounds ahead of him with experience, with grappling experience. And I'm not trying to rip on this kid, Eric Gonzalez. I hope he has a good debut and all. But if you take a look, most of his wins are against guys with losing or 50-50 records in other divisions. It's just not a good look. You're going up against a guy who's a true veteran, who still has extreme skills in that cage, and you've only been fighting kind of busts to get in here. So I think this is going to be just too much experience coming at Eric all at once. I think Jim Miller's the bet. I think Jim Miller under his ability here. So 2.5 rounds. I don't think Jim Miller wants to go 3 rounds anymore. I think he's a round 1 sub. I totally agree. All right, let's keep it trucking along here. I really like this fight. I tell you what, we got a woman's
Oh
flyweight.
yeah.
We got Manion Fiorette. She's a minus 240 favorite. Sneak on that line now, guys. She's going to go up. I could tell you that. She's going up. She's 7-1. She's 31 years old, and her only loss was to Leah McCourt. Not great, but that was her pro debut, and she's been undefeated since. And savagery. She's been looking phenomenal in there. She's going up against Mayra Bueno Silva, who's plus 195 dog, 30 years old, 7-1-1, and her lone loss is to Mayra Moroz, and she has a draw with Montana de la Rosa. Tom, I mean, what do you see going on here?
Yeah, this one was tough, man. I'm going to tell you, man. I mean, this is not an easy pick. You got Manon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Fiora. I'm going to say Fiora. The French woman. She's 31, 5'6" in height. The other side, the Brazilian, Mayra Bueno Silva, 30 years old, 5'5" in height. Although shorter, Silva holds a 1.5-inch reach advantage. Manon Fiora, 7-1-0. UFC 2-0. Silva on the other side, overall 7-1-1, UFC 2-1-1. Manon's coming off that TKO punches win over Tabitha Ricci in June 2021. The other side, Silva coming off majority draw to Montana de la Rosa. Now, Montana's tough too, so that's a tough bout. So she had a draw with Montana. Montana's no slacker. What do I see here? Look, Silva has the edge with cage experience. As far as I believe she only has 2 more fights, which is double the experience. But I also feel like she may have fought more experienced people, so she has that double-sided experience edge on Fiora or Manon Fiora. But Fiora is going to go for the finish for strikes, is how I see it. She may get taken down doing so and get subbed round 1 by Silva. That's kind of what I see in my mind looking at this. But I'm going to flip on that, and I'm going to go with kind of what I'm hoping to see is she's able to see round 2. I'm talking about Fiora. And finish Silva via strikes in round 2. I think it could be a situation where she does go for the strikes, gets taken down, but survives a submission and the ground game by Silva round 1. Round 2 starts on the feet again, finishes Silva.
All right, yeah, I don't see this working out for Silva at all. I think Manion, from what we've seen, is just in phenomenal shape. She has power. She's super muscular. I don't think Silva's going to be able to get that clinch and take her down. As we've seen with a lot of people, they come in with great jiu-jitsu. The problem's not the jiu-jitsu advantage. The problem's the wrestling advantage of getting the other person to the ground. All fights start on their feet. So I think we see Manion, I think she dominates this fight pretty much start to finish here. But I think we see a finish here late round 2, maybe early round 3. Remember, Manion has 6 KOs, only 1 decision in her entire career. The girl has finishing power. Watch a few of her last fights. Now, I wouldn't recommend Tabitha Ricci fight. Tabitha took that fight late notice. She's definitely not in the flyweight category. She's a small girl, tiny little girl. That was a super disadvantage for her. But Manion is no joke. She looks good. This is my pick of the night right here. I think we see a vicious finish by Manion. All right, then we got middleweight bout. Julian Marquez, minus 250 favorite. He's 9-2. He's 31 years old. He's on a 2-fight finishing streak himself, taking down Sam Alvey and Maki Pitolo. He's going up against Jordan Wright, who's a plus 200 dog, 12-1, 30 years old. His only loss is to Joaquin Buckley, but he also has a really, it's a no contest, but it's a loss to Anthony Hernandez. It was ruled a no contest when Hernandez failed marijuana as his drug test. But he got finished in that fight also. Just to throw that out there so you guys realize he really should have 2 losses on his record. Tom, what do you see happening here? Marquez, Wright, Got some guys coming right into their prime. Both good records. How's this look to you?
All right, you got Julian Marquez, the American on one side, 31, 6'2" in height. American Jordan Wright on the other side, 30, 6'2" in height also. But Jordan Wright, even though the same height, 5-inch reach advantage for Jordan Wright. He's got really long arms, apparently. Julian Marquez, 9-2 overall, UFC 3-1. He's a blue belt in BJJ, and he's coming off that rear naked choke victory over Sam Alvey in April 2021. Jordan on the other side, he's coming off a TKO punches win over Jamie Pickett in May 2021. I watched that fight. That was surprising. I picked Pickett on that fight, and Jordan Wright surprised me, and he really put Pickett away. Jordan, some skill set, brown belt in karate. Brown Ikat, which I was not familiar with, in Pencak. Salat, which is Indonesian martial arts. Very interesting. I also wanted to note, Jordan, I don't know if I already said, he's 12-1-0 with 1 no contest. UFC, he's 2-1. Now, I did want to note with him, every single one of his fights have been a finish, win or lose. He's never gone to a decision. He's either lost or won by a finish. He does not go to decision. So I'm going to stick with that here as well. But the thing is, I'm not going to pick Jordan Wright again. He may surprise me again, though. I think this is a pretty good matchup here. I'm going to go with Marquez, though, by round 2
I see
strikes.
It pretty close. I just don't know if I see him by strikes, but I like that decision. Yeah, Jordan Wright, he's as you mentioned, he's a 1-round fighter. There's no decisions. This kid's getting the finish or he's getting finished. That's it. If you don't have a chin, look out, man. Jordan Wright does have pretty good hands. He does knock guys out. Just so happens, though, Marquez has an incredible chin. Super durable guy.
Yeah.
And I see him coming in with the right game plan. Tom didn't mention this, which he normally loves to mention. Marquez is fighting under the James Krause camp. And we love the James Krause camp.
Yeah, true.
So he's going to have the right game plan. He's going to have the right coaching. And I think he knows you got to take Wright into the deeper rounds. Avoid the big shots early. Grapple as much as you can. Wear on him as much as you can. Just wrestle, tire this dude out. I think that's what happens. I think we see a finish late round 2 or round 3 by Marquez. I don't think he's going to finish him on the feet, though. It'll either have to be ground and pound. Probably rear naked choke, though, would be my pick. That would be my pick. But I totally agree with that.
I like it.
1-round fighter for Jordan Wright. We'll see how he does in the 1 round.
Just to reiterate on Jordan Wright. Remember, Jordan Wright overall has, when I gave that stat about, he's never had a decision. It's always been a finish, whether win or lose. That's 14 fights. It's not like he had 3 of them. He had 14 fights and there was no decisions.
I don't think he's been to round 3 yet. If that tells you, I'm pretty sure he has not even been to round 3. I'd have to double check, but I'm almost positive. It's been basically all round 1, and maybe I know his loss to Buckley was round 2. That's why I think James Krause is going to know this. James Krause is one of the better coaches out there. It's unbelievable. So that's one of the advantages I see that Marquez has in this fight is his cornering. And it really matters when you bring the right game plan for certain fighters. I think Tim Elliott could have won that fight, actually, which was a tough fight last week. But they should have told him he was losing. They should have told him he was losing. Go for the finish.
They should have told him don't stall on your back.
That's what I'm saying.
The third,
he thought he was up in the rounds, and he wasn't. They shouldn't have. He needed a little bit on that one. And Tim Elliott beats the.
I didn't pick Tim in that fight.
That was a close fight, though. There was no blowout there.
If Tim wouldn't have done that, he could have won the fight.
Exactly my point. But I think Krause is.
But to me, that kind of doesn't help the James Krause.
You're not going to win everyone. On that end, that's one of the mistakes. But I don't think he does that again.